From the outside, the ashram looks untouched. The trees stand still. The air is calm. But inside, a storm is tearing a family apart. Jamadagni stands upright, unmoving, his face carved from fury. Before him stand his 4 sons, heads lowered, hands trembling. Their father's voice does not shake, it burns.
You have failed me, not with action, with weakness.
Then Jamadagni turns to the 5th son, the youngest, Parashurama. In his hand rests the axe, a weapon given by Shiva himself. Jamadagni's eyes lock onto his son, and the command falls like lightning.
Kill thy mother, O Tata, for she has transgressed thousands of years of penance undone by a single moment of temptation.
The brothers gasp, but Jamadagni is not finished.
And after her, your brothers.
Parashuram bows in obedience. He turns, walks, each step measured, each breath steady. Behind him, his brothers stare in horror, unable to move, unable to speak. Parashuram reaches Renuka's chamber. He enters. Renuka looks up. She smiles. Her eyes meet his, full of affection, full of trust. Parashuram stands before her, a son, an executioner. The axe rests at his side. His face is calm, unreadable, unforgiving. Before there was time, there was a vibration. From that vibration rose a single sound, Om. And from that sound, the universe unfolded. The one became many, not out of need, but out of function. Creation was given to Brahma. Dissolution was given to Shiva. And between birth and death, between beginning and end, stood the burden of balance. That burden was given to Vishnu. Whenever the scales tilt too far, Vishnu descends, not to punish, but to correct. In this cosmic cycle, he had already descended many times. As Matsya, to save knowledge from the flood. As Kurma, to support the churning of existence. As Varaha, to lift the earth from chaos. As Narasimha, to end tyranny that hid behind boons. As Vamana, to humble pride disguised as charity. Each time, balance was restored. Each time, the world was spared. But balance does not remain fixed forever. In the 19th Treta Yuga, a different sickness spread. The Kshatriyas, the warrior class, sworn to protect the weak and uphold order, became something else. Kings turned into predators. Protectors turned into tyrants. Power forgot restraint. The sword no longer defended Dharma. It fed on it. So Vishnu descended again, not as a fish, not as a beast, not as a dwarf, not as a roaring god, but as something far more dangerous. A man, born of discipline, armed by Shiva, fueled by rage. Parashurama, an avatar not meant to save kings, but to erase them. This is the insane story of Parashuram, the 6th avatar of Vishnu. The story truly begins in a place where violence does not belong. the hermitage of Jamadagni. Nestled deep in the forest, this was a world held together by restraint. Predators forgot their hunger, prey forgot their fear. The tiger drank from the same stream as the deer, not because nature had changed, but because something stronger than nature ruled here. Ahimsa, non-violence, radiating outward from one man's presence. Jamadagni lived here with his wife, Renuka. Once a princess of Vidarbha, Renuka had stepped out of silk and ceremony into bark, dust, and silence. Her devotion was so complete, her fidelity so absolute, that she could draw water from the river in a pot made of unbaked clay. The vessel held because her will held it. As long as her mind was pure, even water obeyed. Jamadagni watched the world with the calm of a man who believes order is permanent. But Jamadagni carried fire in his blood. He belonged to the Brigu lineage, a clan of sages whose tapas burned hot. Their spiritual power was immense, their discipline legendary, but so was their flaw. Rage. A rage born not of ignorance, but of intensity. Jamadagni carried that fire within him, contained, controlled, disciplined. But fire does not disappear. It moves. And it moved into his youngest son, Rama, later known to the world as Parashurama. The rage that would one day restore balance was already alive in him, quiet, patient, waiting. Rama did not belong to the same silence as his brothers. While Rumanvan, Sushena, Vasu, and Viswavasu bent over scriptures, content with words and restraint, Rama felt something else move inside him, a pull, not toward knowledge, toward valor. What stirred within him needed a form, a weapon that could carry the weight of his inner fire. So Rama left the hermitage. He walked north, upward, into the Himalayas. There, he began his penance. This was not quiet meditation. It was a siege. Rama stood on one leg beneath the burning summer sun, ringed by 5 raging fires. In winter, he submerged himself in freezing waters, his breath slowing, his body refusing surrender. Days passed, then years. At last, Shiva appeared, not as a giver of peace, but as a master of weapons. He poured into Rama the knowledge of Dhanurveda, the science of archery. He trained him in Kalaripayattu, the oldest, most primal art of combat, where the body itself becomes a battlefield. Rama was no longer a seeker. He was becoming an arsenal. And when Shiva saw that Rama was ready, he gave him the axe, the Parashu. In that moment, a cosmic light exploded outward. Not a gentle glow, but a blinding eruption. An ounce of Shiva's power condensed into a blade of terrible beauty.
What you hold can restore balance, but know this: darkness feeds on violence. This weapon will demand sacrifice. It will demand blood. You must be ready.
Rama bowed. He accepted the burden without hesitation, without fear. He turned and began his journey home, the axe resting against his shoulder, his heart burning with purpose. He did not know that the weapon would be tested before he could even set it down. One morning, Renuka walks to the river, as she has done every day for years. The rituals await her return. The hermitage breathes in peace. At the riverbank, the world slips. In the water below, the Gandharva king Chitraratha plays with his wives and apsaras. laughter, jewels, garlands floating on ripples, bodies gleam with celestial ease. For a single moment, so brief it barely exists, Renuka's mind wavers. She does not act, she does not move, she only admires. That is enough. The unbaked clay pot in her hands dissolves. Water spills back into the river. Her yogic power collapses, not because of desire fulfilled, but desire allowed. Renuka stands still, empty-handed, her supernatural strength stripped away by a single thought. She returns to the ashram trembling, but she does not need to speak. Jamadagni already knows. His reaction is not sorrow. It is fury. Jamadagni turns to his sons. "Kill your mother," he commands. The words fall like iron. The 4 elder brothers freeze. They cannot move. They cannot lift their weapons. They refuse. And then Rama arrives. He stands at the edge of the scene, the axe resting against his shoulder, the parachute. Jamadagni turns to him.
Kill thy mother, O Tata, for she has transgressed thousands of years of penance undone by a single moment of temptation. And after her, your brothers.
The hermitage stops breathing. Rama bows, respectful, steady. His eyes do not shake. He walks toward Renuka's chamber, each step measured, each breath controlled. Behind him, his brothers stare in horror. Inside the chamber, Renuka looks up. She smiles. She sees her youngest son after many years. There is affection in her eyes. Rama does not hesitate. He remembers Shiva's warning that the parachute will demand sacrifice, that it feeds on blood. The axe rises. With a single fluid motion, Renuka's head is severed. A son stands over the headless body of his mother, the axe dripping with the blood that gave him life.
Oh Rama, what have you done?
Rama turns. One by one, he strikes them down. That day, Rama becomes Parashurama. Rama with the axe. The parachute accepts him. He is no longer a boy. He is a walking arsenal. Jamadagni's rage cools instantly. In its place rises pride. He offers Parashurama a boon. Parashurama kneels.
Oh dear father, please restore my mother and brothers to life. Careful what you wish for my son. This defies the cosmic order.
Parashurama does not yield.
So be it.
The dead rise. Severed flesh knits itself back together. Bodies reassemble. Life returns. But Parashurama does not rejoice, because what stands before him is wrong. Limbs are misplaced. Heads sit on unfamiliar bodies. Forms are twisted, mismatched, horrifying. The dead have returned, but order has not. Far from the hermitage, in the great city of Mahishmati, power was rising. His name was Kartavirya Arjuna. They called him Sahasrarjuna, the 1,000-armed. He was not a demon. He was not born of darkness. He was a Chandravanshi king of the Haihaya clan, a ruler of noble blood, and he was a devoted worshipper of Dattatreya. Pleased, Dattatreya granted him boons, 1,000 arms to wield 1,000 weapons, a golden chariot able to move across earth, sky, and the netherworlds, and a death that would come only at the hands of a superior warrior. At first, Kartavirya ruled well. His 1,000 arms were meant to serve 1,000 subjects. But power is a test that never ends. Slowly, the king changed. The arms that once protected became instruments of fear. The ruler became the state itself, and the state became tyranny. The world learned how vast his power truly was by accident. Once, Ravana, the 10-headed Asura king, camped beside the river Narmada. Upstream, Kartavirya played in the waters with his wives. Amused, he decided to stop the river's flow. With his 1,000 arms, he blocked the Narmada like a living dam. The river turned backward. Water surged into Ravana's camp, flooding his rituals, destroying his sacred fire. Enraged, Ravana rose. The Lord of Lanka challenged Kartavirya Arjuna. The fight did not last. Kartavirya defeated Ravana effortlessly. He dragged the 10-headed king to Mahishmati, imprisoned him like a common thief. Ravana remained in chains until his grandfather, sage Pulastya, came to negotiate his release. Only then was Ravana freed. The message spread quietly through the world. Kartavirya Arjuna was not merely powerful. He was stronger than the greatest antagonist of the next yuga. And yet even he did not know that his 1,000 arms were already reaching toward an axe. Every great war begins with a small crime. The day the conflict truly began, two worlds collided. The opulent arrogance of a king and the quiet dignity of a hermitage. Hunting deep in the forest, Kartavirya Arjuna arrived at the ashram of Jamadagni. Elephants, horses, soldiers by the thousands. Jamadagni welcomed them without fear. Within his ashram lived Kamadhenu, the celestial cow, giver of abundance. With her grace, the sage fed the entire imperial force. Golden plates appeared. Food beyond imagination was served. The army ate. The animals ate. Even the king was astonished. But astonishment did not become gratitude. It became envy. One of the 6 enemies of the mind slipped quietly into Kartavirya's heart.
Why should a forest dweller possess such a treasure?
This cow belongs in a palace to feed an empire. Give it to me.
Kartavirya demanded Kamadhenu.
She is not property. She is part of this ashram. She sustains our rituals. She cannot be taken.
The king did not argue. He ordered. Armor clanged. Soldiers surged forward. Kamadhenu cried out as she was dragged away. Jamadagni did not raise a hand. He trusted the universe to remember this injustice. At that moment, Parashurama was not there. He was gathering wood for the sacred fire. When he returned, he saw ruin. The fires extinguished, the ground scarred, his father standing humiliated, and the cow was gone. Something ancient woke inside him. The Raudra Rasa, the sentiment of furious wrath, rose like a storm from his core. This was no longer about hospitality. This was about balance, and balance had just been broken. He armed himself for war, a shield that caught sunlight and bent it, a bow that hummed like gathering thunder, and the axe of Shiva. His matted locks streamed behind him like a comet of death as he tore through sky and distance toward Mahishmati. He met the army at the gates. 17 Akshauhinis stood before him. Infantry, cavalry, elephants. Parashurama entered their ranks like a scythe through dry grass. The ground turned to mud and flesh. Steel rang, bones cracked. He moved with the speed of thought and the weight of the earth. His axe spun, a wall of whirling metal. At last, the emperor appeared. Kartavirya Arjuna, the 1,000-armed king. 500 bows bent at once. The sky darkened with arrows. Parashurama raised a single bow. Every arrow was cut down in mid-air. The sky screamed. He took up the axe. Parashurama closed the distance. And then, with terrible precision, he began to cut. One arm, then another. 1,000 arms fell, like severed serpent hoods twitching on the battlefield. When the arms were gone, Parashurama ended it. The axe fell. The emperor's head rolled. Kartavirya Arjuna, the 1,000-armed tyrant, lay dead. Parashurama retrieved Kamadhenu and returned to the ashram. He expected relief, perhaps approval. He received neither. Jamadagni looked at him without pride, without praise.
You have killed a king. No matter the crime, a Brahmin who slays a ruler inherits sin.
The word struck harder than any blow.
Your karma is tainted. You must cleanse yourself of the hero's ego.
He ordered Parashurama to leave, to walk the land on a pilgrimage of atonement. Parashurama bowed. He did not argue. He did not explain. He turned away from the ashram once more. Violence once begun does not end where we wish it to. It returns. While Parashurama walked the land in atonement, trying to cleanse the blood from his karma, another bloodline sharpened its hatred. The sons of Kartavirya Arjuna gathered. 10,000 princes. They did not come for justice. They came for revenge. They crept into the ashram like thieves in the night. Jamadagni sat in deep meditation, his senses withdrawn from the world, his body defenseless. The princes did not hesitate. They hacked him down. Blade after blade fell on a man who did not resist, who did not even see them. When Parashurama returned, the forest was wrong. The silence was heavier. The ashram was broken. And his father lay on the ground, headless, his body marked with 21 deep cuts. In that moment, something fundamental fractured, not just in Parashurama, in the order of the world. He did not cry out. He did not fall. He stood still. Parashurama looked at the wounds. 1, 2, 3, 21. And he understood them as command.
They struck my father 21 times. 21 times I shall circle this earth. 21 times I shall rid it of these kings.
This was no vow of a son. It was a proclamation of extinction. And the three worlds began to tremble. What followed was not a war, it was a purge. Parashurama moved across the world like a force of nature that had finally been unchained. Kings fell in their palaces. Rulers were dragged from their forts. Those who hid in forests were found. There was no refuge. There was no negotiation. The warrior caste, meant to protect the earth, was being judged by it. The carnage reached its darkest form at a place remembered as Samanta-Panchaka. There, Parashurama did something that froze the memory of the world. He dug 5 great lakes, not to store water, but to collect blood, the blood of the Kshatriyas he slaughtered. The lakes filled slowly. Standing waist-deep in them, Parashurama performed tarpan, libations to his ancestors, not with water, not with sesame seeds, but with blood. At last, the ancestors appeared. They spoke plainly.
Our thirst is quenched. Stop!
And Parashurama listened. But the vow had not yet completed its course. He circled the earth once, twice, 21 times. Each cycle a correction, each cycle a pruning. This was not madness. This was method. A systematic removal of a corrupt political class that had forgotten restraint. When it ended, the earth was quiet. The arrogant were gone. What remained were those fit to rule. Balance returned between sattva and tamas, between light and darkness, between dharma and adharma. After the blood dried, after the world fell silent, something else arrived. Not victory, realization. Parashurama was shown a vision. The Agrasandhani, the ledger of Chitragupta, where every deed is recorded, every life weighed. He saw his own account. It did not end. It rose like a pillar, stretching endlessly into the sky. Names, faces, lives. The weight of it was unbearable. To expiate this karma, Parashurama performed a great Ashvamedha yajna, a sacrifice not of conquest, but of surrender. And then, in his final act as a warrior, he gave away the world itself. He donated the entire earth to Kashyapa, representing the collective priesthood.
You have given me the earth. It is my property now.
You may not remain here after nightfall.
Parashurama did not protest. He accepted exile from the very world he had purified. Before leaving, he chose to renounce the axe. He walked to the shoreline, lifted the parachute, and threw it into the sea. The ocean recoiled. Varuna, terrified of the weapon, pulled the waters back. Land emerged. A narrow strip. New territory. Kerala, not part of the earth he had donated. A loophole born of fear and divinity. There, Parashurama lived, until time itself loosened its grip. Eons passed. When the banishment faded, Parashurama withdrew again. This time to the Mahendra mountains. There, rage was turned inward, into tapasya, into stillness. Parashurama became a Chiranjeevi, immortal, not as a blessing, as a responsibility. The Kalki Purana speaks of a time yet to come, when the world drowns again in adharma, when the final avatar, Kalki, is born. Kalki will journey to the Mahendra mountains, and there, the ancient Parashurama will awaken, withered by time, burning with spiritual fire. He will teach the last warrior how to end a cycle. He will give him weapons not of rage, but of finality, and with that, the wheel will turn once more. The Satya Yuga will begin again, Until then, Parashurama waits, not as a hero, not as a god, but as a reminder that when the world rots beyond repair, correction does not arrive gently. It arrives with an axe.